Hi, everyone. For those of you that have joined already, all the early worms, welcome to this webinar on how agencies can harness the power of unstructured data, hosted by Listening 24/7. We're just going to give everyone a minute or two to join us, and then we'll get started. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, everyone. If you're just joining us, we're just giving everyone a minute or two more to join, and then we're going to get started. Hi, everyone. We're going to get started in 30 seconds. If you're just joining us, we're just giving everyone half a minute more to join, and then we'll get started. Okay, hi, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on how agencies can harness the power of unstructured data using AI technology, hosted by Listening 24/7. My name is Yakov Goldfein. I'm based in Johannesburg, South Africa, and I'm a member of the Listening 24/7 leadership team. Before joining Listening 24/7, I spent 5 years in strategy and behavioral. And throughout my consulting career, I often work closely with market research agencies to provide our clients with survey data and insights. So I'm very excited personally for today's discussion. So a warm welcome to everyone who's joined. We have executives from market research agencies from all over the world with us today, and a special market research executive joining us as a guest speaker. We're very grateful to have you with, and we hope that this webinar will be useful to you, a good investment of your valuable time. Before we start, and before I introduce our speakers, I just want to give you a brief overview of how we plan to spend the next 45 minutes, just to maximize your investment of time in this webinar. So first off, I'll introduce our host, Michaelis Michael from Listening 24/7, and our close partner, Harry from Naverna. Michaelis will then share an overview of the unstructured data landscape as it stands today, and how it can be harnessed for market research using artificial intelligence, a term which I'm sure you've been hearing a lot of recently. Michaelis will then lead a discussion with Harris to explore how he has used unstructured data in his own market research work, as well as some of his learnings in doing so and his guidance to other market research agencies if they want to harness the power of unstructured data. We'll then leave 10 minutes at the end to answer any questions that you have. There's a Q&A panel on the right. So as we go along, if you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the chat, and we'll answer them during the Q&A. Before I introduce our speakers, we're just going to run a quick interaction in the interactions tab. It's just going to be a quick poll. We just want to get your thoughts, and then I'll hand over to Michaelis to run through the results and discuss them with everyone. So to introduce our speakers, it's quite a mouthful, so bear with me. First, our valued partner and guest, Harry Papayoyo. I hope I haven't butchered your name, Harry. Welcome
That's kind.
to the webinar.
That's a very good effort. Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Thanks for coming. And just Harry has 27 years of international experience in market research. He's currently managing Naverna, the operations and projects in the Middle East and North Africa. And he's got a particular focus on Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, and the Gulf. And if you haven't heard of Naverna, Harry will also introduce them a bit more later on. Then on Listening 24/7 side, I'd like to introduce Michaelis Markle. He's the founder and CEO of DMR, also known as Digital MR, which owns the Listening 24/7 social media monitoring platform and technology. Welcome, Michaelis. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Jakob. Hi, Harry. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Great. So Michaelis is a qualified aerospace engineer. He hasn't made it into outer space yet. He chose instead to spend his career in market research, consulting, and data analytics. Shortly, he's going to be telling us why data and artificial intelligence are more exciting than outer space. Before he founded DMR, he was with Synovate, one of the top 5 multinational market research agencies. He oversaw 12 countries while running the Central European division. Thereafter, Synovate sent him to Chicago to start the first global online market research division. He couldn't find the technology to create this division, so he moved to London. He founded Digital MR, and as a result, today, Digital MR continues to develop and own the Listening 24/7 platform that can structure data, such as billions of social media data points in any language from almost any source with unparalleled accuracy. And that's what he's going to be telling us a bit more about just now. Welcome, Michaelis. I'll hand over to you to review the poll results and to just give a quick overview of the unstructured data landscape.
Thanks, Jakob. Yeah, I'm looking at the poll. So let me read it out. Hold on. Now I see it again. Considering all brand mentions globally, solicited feedback, surveys, and written responses versus unsolicited feedback, social media comments, what's the likely ratio? And it looks like 30% solicited, which is answers to questions, and 70% unsolicited is the option that our audience has selected. I can tell you that it's close, but I'll reveal the split in one of the slides. I'll just share my screen now. Harry, it's great to have you with us. I'll take our audience through a few slides, and then we will have a conversation about your experience with social listening. All right, Jakob, Harry, can you see my screen? Just a confirmation from you.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Wonderful. All right, so I'm going to start with a very interesting quote, which goes like this: "We're drowning in information while starving for wisdom. The world henceforth will be run by synthesizers, people able to put together the right information at the right time, think creatively about it, and make important decisions based on this information." This quote is from Edward Wilson, who is a biologist. And I think it 100% applies to the situation we find ourselves in. And this webinar is exactly about all this data that is available, and yet available, but very difficult to understand, to analyze, to discover, to integrate with the data we're used to, and so on. So, and hopefully you will find some ways to add some of this in your offerings to your clients wherever you are. Let's start first with what you said to us during registration. The first question was, what experience do you have with AI? Many of you said that you use AI to code open-ended questions, which makes sense, and it's a very common use of AI and an easy one to implement and save some money. Create insights reports, some of you said, and there are many ways to interpret this one. And I think the majority said no experience at all with AI. The second question was, well, what would you like to get out of this webinar? Many said we want to discover new revenue streams, which is how exactly the webinar is positioned. Yes, we're here to discuss some new revenue streams for traditional market research companies, use AI for insights, learn about unstructured data and social media listening, and learn from others were the most common answers that you gave. And finally, questions. There weren't a lot of questions, but one of them is, how, what should I do next? How should I grow my revenues and my agency using these solutions, I guess? And then the second question is more related to the accuracy of the data. How reliable is this data that the AI is discovering and analyzing? Right. Now, since the main topic is unstructured data, I think we should define it first. And then when I do, you will hopefully agree with the statement that over 90% of all data available to humanity is unstructured. And what is it? It's text, it's audio, images, and video. What is it not? It's not numbers in tables. That's what structured data is. That's what we are used to as researchers when we run quantitative surveys and we have closed-ended questions, we count, and we produce numbers in tables or nice graphs. Of course, there's a little bit of unstructured in traditional market research. That's qualitative research when you have a transcript, but it's so short that the moderator can read it and can produce results. Whereas here we're talking about big data, about millions of posts that we find online. I want to talk about a paradox in our industry, in the market research industry, and it's about the split, the icebreaker. Most of you said 70% unsolicited and 30% solicited. It's more like 90 to 10. It's not an exact science, but we know that more than 90% of all the data is unstructured. And a big subset of unstructured data is actually opinions of people expressed as text or audio or video or with combination of images. So that's why allow me the freedom. I'm just trying to making a point. It's not about a single page. Let's say that if we count all the verbatims that you get from surveys, and if we count all the data points and all the answers that you get from focus groups and so on, it will be 10% of the total customer opinion, and the rest, the unsolicited, the one that consumers give us without being asked, is 90%. Now, what's the paradox? The paradox is that clients, your end clients, spend more than 90% of their budgets on solicited customer opinion, so surveys and focus groups, and less than 10% on unsolicited customer opinion. In our opinion, to have a holistic view of the consumer, market researchers should look at these two data sources in a 50-50 split. At least, we're not going to say, and then there are many who say surveys, don't trust surveys, the samples are problematic, you have cheaters, you have this, that, and the other. We're not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying surveys are good and social media listening is good, but don't spend 90% of all the money on the smallest, on the small part of where the insights are, of where the data is. At least spend 50-50 to get a 360-degree view of the consumer opinion. And we think this is going to happen. It's happening as we speak. Here are some use cases for market research. You already know, you already said, you use the AI to code open-ended questions. And there's also, I'm going to add here that you can use it to tag transcripts, especially if you have lots of them. And that's something that is done by many of you already. Then you have the unsolicited opinion that comes from all these online sources, which are split in two main buckets, the social media networks and other public sites like blogs, forums, news, and reviews. And then you have the client data. So clients have call center audio transcripts. They have emails from customers. They have chats. All of this you can integrate. It's all unstructured. And some of it is solicited, but the big parts are unsolicited. You can use this technology we're talking about and the AI to analyze and understand what's in this data. Now, on social media and on the web, there is chaos if you don't have the right technology and the right kind of AI. But this kind of AI that I'm talking about can turn chaos to the kind of structure that you're used to share of voice, like these bubbles here on social media, or the total number of posts, the sentiment for the whole category, the share of the sources, which is this chart here, and it shows that Facebook is the biggest source, followed by X, and so on. And then what are these people talking about? The conversation drivers. So if you have the right kind of AI, and if it's accurate enough, you can tag millions of posts in any language with conversation drivers or topics and sentiment and brand, and you can turn the chaos into some structure and something that you're used to, that you can actually integrate with the solicited customer opinion. And that's a big point I want to make on this slide. Let me start by saying that the way to do it is not just, go to ChatGPT and upload 1 million posts and expect to get a good result. You do need custom AI models that are predictive, not generative necessarily. If you use an LLM like GPT-4o to tag for sentiment, is like, to use a mild example, is like using a bazooka to kill a fly, and there is no need, because it's so much more expensive. As a matter of fact, it's 18 times more expensive, according to our calculations, to use a large language model for something like this versus a small, narrow, predictive model that is custom trained. And what else does it offer? The custom trained model, something very, very important to us: accuracy. We can commit with a model like this. You can commit to over 80% sentiment accuracy and topic accuracy and brand accuracy. And then finally, the integration, which I think if you're going to keep something from this webinar, that's what I would like you to keep, that there's a big opportunity for market research agencies, because who is better positioned than you to take answers from surveys and combine them with what people say about those same brands that you're asking questions in the survey on social media. And if you do that, and we can help you if you're interested in doing this, then the result will be outstanding. It will not just be 1 + 1 = 2 or even 3. It will be a multiple. It will be an amazing result. I was just telling someone this morning about the work we have done for the UK elections, and we're looking at the polls that give Reform UK 16%. I don't know if you all know this party. It's the right radical party in the UK, far right. So all the polls, so the solicited opinion gives this party 16%. The social media posts are saying that they have 61% of all the positive posts where people declare that they're going to vote for a certain party. You know what that means? That means that if a pollster had both these data sets, which they don't, everybody just relies on surveys. If they had these numbers that we are seeing, they would probably adjust the 16% of Reform UK upwards a bit. I'm not saying they will get 61%, but I'm saying 16% is probably going to be very much on the low side. Also combined with the fact that people don't like to admit in a survey that they support a party from the far right, which some people call, you know what they call it. So I'm not going to go into politics, but yeah. So how do you do this? So how do you get to the 80% accuracy, to some results, some data that is not garbage? Basically, we create three. I'm not going to take you through this whole setup process, but we create three AI models: one for noise to clean the data, one for sentiment, one for topics. And that, because it's a model trained based on the context, if the project is about elections, then all the training data is about elections. That's how you can get to over 80%, sometimes 90% accuracy. And once you have the setup, which takes about, if you're doing it for the first time, if we don't already have the AI model for Vietnamese and beer or French and elections, then it takes a week to create one. And then you just run it. Once you have the setup, you just run it and you produce data every day. And it can be visualized on any dashboard you like, on a Power BI, on a Tableau, anything. And the icing on the cake is the generative AI. We have one called Data Vinci, which we're very proud of. And I'll show you a couple of slides on Data Vinci later on. But I wanted to share the opinion of some pundits on what I just said. The CEO of Hugging Face said about the right kind of AI for market research, said it best. He said that smaller, cheaper, faster, more customized models, and I think I'm missing some text here, will cover, let me just fix this. It will cover, I think what he said is that will cover I think I have it on another. Let me find it. Okay, here we go. We covered 99% of the use cases. Okay, so if I go back to this deck, smaller, cheaper, faster, more customized models, the ones that I'm talking about, the 100 will cover 99% of the use cases. You don't need $1 million Formula One car to get to work every day. It's like my analogy of the bazooka and the fly. And then a user agreed with Clem, who is the CEO of Hugging Face, and he said, we started out using the application on ChatGPT, but quickly ran into the issues Clem mentioned. Training and hosting our own meant we could deliver a more consistent experience. All right, now a few case studies, and then I'll finish it off with the Da Vinci magic, and go into the conversation with Harry. So case studies from all over. So we did one for luxury watches, and a thing we discovered was that sales correlate with post volume, share of voice. We did a project for The Economist on the Gaza conflict, and we gathered posts in Arabic and in English. And The Economist published a report on the opinion of people. How do they stand? Who do they support, Palestine or Israel? We did one for the Swiss government through the business school in SEAT. The Swiss government was interested in its image after UBS went bankrupt. And it was a really interesting result that was presented to ministers. So you see some really high profile projects, but also the usual suspects. Coca-Cola, a partner agency of ours, did a project with us to discover trends around eating out occasions and, of course, drinking in Arabic and in French. Another one, Gales is a bakery and coffee chain here in the UK. We're doing a brand health tracker just using social media listening, and we provide insights to the CEO and to the marketing department. And then finally, a project that Harry's company did. I think he will talk about it a little bit during our interview now on telecoms in Saudi Arabia. The Da Vinci magic. Now, this is what it is. For the Gales example, the coffee chain in the UK, if you use Da Vinci, you just press a button and it automatically produces an insight like this. The perception of Gales seems to be polarized. It provides a suggested action, fully automatic. It says promote inclusivity. And not only that, it also suggests a copy for a post on Facebook or on Twitter. At Gales, we believe not only in baking delicious treats, but we want to understand the local community and ensure that our offerings resonate with their values. There's an image brief, and if you want to be adventurous, you can use an AI to produce an image. It's just a suggestion. We're not saying use the image the AI will generate, but you get the picture. It's really magic, and it redefines the role of an insight expert in many, many ways. So every time we have shown Da Vinci's work to clients, it blew their socks off. We tried to create an image like this. We were not very successful. As you can see, the guy is still wearing his socks, and yet his socks blew off. Time for the discussion with Harris. Thank you very much for your attention. Harry, good to be with you. And I want to start with the first question. Tell us a little bit about Noverna, your company, and how you got your first client in social media listening.
Great. Thanks very much, Mihaly. Nice to be with you and with everybody. So Noverna is an international agency. We have a multi-country business. We're very active, particularly in the Gulf region and especially in Saudi Arabia, where we have our regional head office, and also in Kuwait and Qatar. We've been serving clients for the last 2 decades across all industry types, service, non-service sector. And of course, back in 2004, when we started until recently, we used primarily traditional methods of research. And over the last few years, thanks to listening 24/7, we've moved into social listening research and are now moving to integrate the two. So our first social listening client was in fact a leading player in the telecoms industry, as Michalis just mentioned, in Saudi Arabia. Now, this was a client who we'd already been serving for, I think, at least 5-6 years previously. And we essentially drove and initiated the process. So we recommended social listening work as an enhancement to the overall work that we had been doing for their brands and campaigns. And we embedded this essentially into our overall program. So essentially, this actually allowed us to create a new revenue stream over time.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Harry. Kerry, may I ask you to put up the next icebreaker? The next poll. We have two more polls for you guys. The next question, Harry, is what were some of the challenges and opportunities during the first project that you did with this client?
Yeah. Okay, so it's a good question, because obviously with any new venture, there would be challenges, and there were quite a few. So I'll talk about a couple of these. I guess the first one was the aspect of dealing with such huge and vast amounts of unstructured data, which initially it was overwhelming, and actually understanding the capabilities of listening 24/7 was some challenge at the beginning. And the reason for this is because with such a huge volume of data, which draws upon all posts and activities which are out there in the digital channels, there's a high volume of noise. And that essentially means picking up posts that are not really relevant, which for some reason are appearing there. Now, thanks to the good interaction we had, and the key thing here is that we worked as a team together with the 24/7 team. We managed to ensure noise elimination to the degree that actually less than 10% of the posts were noisy in the end. So essentially, we managed not to throw out the baby with the water, the baby in this case being the relevant posts.
Wonderful, thank you. And it was especially difficult because of the Arabic, and neither you nor I do we speak Arabic, and yet it was done, right? Because you have somebody on your team.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, the noise aspect, in order to remove it especially, is critical. It's important and necessary to have a good local Arab speaker, in this case, on the ground, who's well versed in the language and the research, and how the two are essentially linked.
Exactly. Before I go to the next question, can I remind the audience to go on chat and type in whatever question you have for Harry or for myself? We will have a few minutes at the end to answer your questions. If we don't, we will make sure we answer your questions by email. Next question, Harry, is what benefits did your client identify from your deliverable, and was it a presentation? What did you provide? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay. So again, talking about this, the actual first client that we had, we actually delivered a report, presented, and carried out a workshop with internal teams to them. And the response was very, very, very positive. And I'll just highlight two or three of the main things which we got as the feedback from them. So the very first one was the fact that we mapped out the presence of their brand in the full digital landscape, which really allowed them to see the broad picture of what's going on. And by that, I mean their brand share of voice, the sentiment about their brand, what's driving it, and to see this also in relation to competition, the channels which were driving it. And we also went back historically with backtrack analysis to see where it was and where it came to.
Brilliant.
That was the first big picture. The second was a strategic insight for their general approach to what they do digitally, the way they were using hashtags in campaigns. So our client was not using specific hashtags for very specific campaigns. So we essentially identified common themes and reactions across channels. And ultimately, they were very happy to take on board our recommendation on how to use digital channels in combination with each other, and especially with respect to the use of hashtags. And I guess the final main benefit, which they mentioned, although there were quite a few, as I said before, was the fact that they were very, very appreciative of us having uncovered new discussion drivers and topics online. And that means identifying themes which don't typically appear in traditional research as opportunities, and understanding how themes are interrelated.
Yeah, that's one of the key benefits of social media listening, the unsolicited opinion, because in questionnaires, sometimes you don't know what to ask, but here you don't have this problem. They will tell you anyway. So I totally agree with you. So now the key point of this meeting here, and the key message that I would like to share with our audience, is this unique position of market research agencies to combine the solicited customer opinion with the unsolicited, or surveys with social listening. How do you see this integration, Harry?
Okay, that's a really good question. And I think my initial reaction to that is to say that the future is really bright. And as market research agencies, we're all positioned to take advantage of the potential of integrating social listening with traditional research. So I'd like to say a couple of things in general first, and then touch upon some technical points. So firstly, the pull has already started from the clients. So clients are asking for it. So whereas before we evaluated campaigns through traditional research, we're adding the layer of unsolicited work and social listening to evaluate campaigns. The second is the interactive nature of traditional and social listening research. One feeds into the other. So social listening will provide new issues and attributes. It will delve deeper and understand high-level results from traditional research. And ultimately, it will create new KPIs to complement the traditional KPIs, which is important at the very high level. And that's where an opportunity lies. So the net sentiment score essentially complements the net promoter score, for example, that we're all familiar with.
Yeah.
Now, from a technical, if you just give me just a couple of minutes, Mihaly, just to speak on a couple of technical points.
Try to be a bit short because I overshot the
Okay, so basically there are two common themes or aspects that we have in traditional and in social listening research, and that's the brand. We're asking in surveys the same brands that we're evaluating through social listening research. So that's the first. And the second is the actual topics that we have in traditional research. We take those topics, and from a technical point of view, we annotate posts with those topics, as well as identifying new topics and discussion drivers. So from a very technical point of view, it's possible and it's a must that the two should be integrated so that the full benefits are delivered from the insights point of view to our clients.
Thank you, Harry. Kerry, may I ask you to run the last poll, please? And I want to bring Yakov. We only have 6 minutes left, and I want to see if there are any questions from our audience. Yakov, over to you. And Kerry, when the poll is answered, I know we have a call to action that you're going to share as well. But Yakov, over to you.
Great, thank you, Michaelis. Thanks, Harry. So we'll just put up a call to action. If you want to discuss this further, you want us to walk you through it in a bit more detail, we'll take you through it step by step. Just click on the call to action, we'll be in touch. but we'll also share our email addresses so that you can contact us as well. We've got some questions. I think the first one from Mark, based in Nigeria. I think it's for both of you, but maybe just you, Michaelis. So I think he believes that companies who have little or no presence on social media, how can they use social media listening to grow their companies? And he wants to know how they can do it through market research, as they don't have a lot of data online ready to use for insights. And I think this will talk, Michaelis, I think, can answer that a bit better, because we've had this situation several times.
Yeah, I think, if there are no posts, then there is nothing to talk about. But usually, if the client is a small brand and they don't find a lot of posts about their own brand, they only need to look at their large competitors. And there's a lot to learn by looking at competitive presence on social media. So that's how I would answer this question. I hope I'm answering it in the spirit that Mark was asking. Yakov?
Yes, Mark. And I think, just to add to that, is that, like you said, often the project is in the context of a competitive landscape, which social media has a lot of, as well as other insights about the customers you're targeting, which it doesn't mean you need to have posts about your specific brand. I hope we've answered your question well, Mark, but be in touch if you have a follow-up. A question from Mohammed. He says, thanks for the useful session. How can we validate this claimed 80 to 90% accuracy that you're claiming, Michaelis?
Yeah.
Is there a way we can prove this to clients and use it as a competitive advantage against other vendors?
Very easy. You just grab a random sample of 10 posts or 50 posts or 100 posts. You read them and you tag them for sentiment and topic. And then you compare to your judgment to what the model has done. And if you agree with 8 out of 10, that's what we call 80%, basically. If you do 100, and if you agree with 85 out of 100, that's 85%. It's actually, to be more specific, that's called precision. The ways we measure accuracy in this big data world, there are 3 metrics: precision, recall, and F1 score.
Cool. Thank you for the question, Mohammed. I hope we've answered it. Let us know if you have a follow-up or if you want to get in touch. Another question from Mark Michaelis is, Nigeria is seeing rapid growth in social media. When are we going to tap into the African market? And I guess excluding South Africa, where I'm based.
Well, we're already, in Nigeria, we've done a project for banks. We've done 2 or 3 projects in Nigeria in the English language. And there's already interest, and there are quite a few posts. I think we had something like a million posts or something for the banking project. So Great. It's already happening, Mark.
Yeah, it's already happening. And we're happy to chat more about it. A new question from Ian. He says, how do you square the circle when most social media posts are by those with an extreme emotional connection to a brand, positive or negative, to reflect the wider society?
I didn't get this question. Can you repeat it?
So I think Ian's saying that generally you'd expect that online posts will be on the extreme. So it'll be people who really love a brand.
Polarizing. Yeah, actually, this is a myth. It's not true. If you look at positive, the sentiment classes that our models tag for are positive, neutral, and negative. In most categories, other than services, neutral is the biggest share of sentiment, which means the absence of any strong sentiment, and puts this myth to sleep. And an example is, I am at Starbucks. I am drinking Carlsberg watching the match. These are neutral comments about brands, not positive, not negative, just stating a fact. And there's lots of them. And we can learn from that as well.
Michali, can I just add something to that?
Yeah, of course.
Ian, the posts which are analyzed are the posts, but also the posts which are responses to the posts. Okay, so you may expect somebody who's more emotionally connected or feels strong about something to make the initial post, but then there's a large thread that comes underneath, which is your let's say not so emotionally connected. Okay, so there's a very good spread ultimately, and that's why, as Michalis mentioned, there's a good spread, and indeed the majority of sentiment is often neutral rather than positive or negative.
Excellent point, Harry.
Yeah, and actually to add one more point onto that, and I know we've just about run out of time, but I think it's an important one, is that you can rely on social media to reflect the most negative and positive as well. Whereas solicited feedback, often you aren't seeing those users who are very frustrated with the service. Whereas on social media, generally they'll go and express those things there, which you wouldn't have picked up otherwise. If it's 5% of your customers are very frustrated about something, there's a very good chance you won't pick that up in a solicited way. But having this mechanism collecting data for you, you have a much higher chance of flagging that risk or that issue and addressing it.
Great point. That's why 360 customer opinion is the message everyone should take away from this meeting. Thanks, Jakob.
Okay, cool. Thank you for the question, Ian. Great question. So just to close off, thank you everyone for coming. We really appreciate you taking out the time to discuss and to view with us. Thank you, Harry, for joining. Thank you, Michalis, for hosting. Again, the call to action is still there. If you want to set up some time with us to go through anything that you heard here, or for us to help you with a step-by-step guide on how to integrate unsolicited feedback into your offering, our email addresses are also on the screen, or visit our website. Thank you so much for coming, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.